let me start how this story began. In 1987, the famous Harvard professor Ted Levitt came to Germany and asked me a simple question. Why is Germany so successful in exports? Just the year before, Germany had become the #1 global exporter. So this question occupied me, concerned me over the years. I was a professor at that time and had some master's thesis and doctoral thesis work on this topic. And I found out that the export performance of Germany is not due to the large corporations who everybody knows, like Siemens and Mercedes, but that it's due to small and mid-sized companies who are little known but are global market leaders. So I called them hidden champions, which is a contradiction. Champions you normally know, how can they be hidden? And if we look at the situation today, not so much has changed. This is the export statistic for 2025. China is now the clear #1, but Germany is still #3, only slightly behind the US, which is as an economy 4 times larger. And you see that all the other countries are much smaller in their export performance. And that's even more extreme if we look at the per capita exports. You see here, Germany is far ahead of all other countries. Korea is second and so on. Spain is in the same ballpark as France or the UK. So that's really amazing. Germany has the same geostrategic location distance to large markets like the US and China as France, UK or Spain, but still the exports are much, much larger per capita. And so the question is, what is behind this? What are the causes? And if we compare the performance of large corporations relative to the exports, I show you here the Fortune Global 500 companies on the horizontal axis and then the export on the vertical axis. And you see that for most countries, it's an almost linear correlation between number of very large corporations and exports. USA, Japan, France, also Spain, which has 8 global 500 companies, falls into this pattern. And there are only 2 exceptions, China and Germany. So what is different for them? The role which mid-sized and small exporters play. In China, more than 60% of the huge exports come from small and mid-sized companies, and in Germany, it's about the same percentage. So what is the insight here? Yes, you need large corporations, but in order to really excel in exports, you need a large number of small and mid-sized exporters. And these are the hidden champions. So how do I define a hidden champion? It's a company which belongs to the top 3 in its market in the world or is #1 on the continent, has a revenue of less than 5 billion euros and is not known, so to say, hidden in the general public. Now you may say 5 billion, that's already a very large company. That's my upper threshold. The average revenue of the hidden champions in Germany is 600 million, and the median, which splits the ranking in half to half, is 150 million. So there are really hundreds of small and mid-sized companies comparable to the companies in the Basque country with 50, with 80, with 100 million in revenue. Let's look back at what happened in globalization. If we go back to 1990, we have 2 distinct phases. From 1990 to 2010, global exports grew more than the global gross domestic product. We call that hyperglobalization. And that has changed since the financial recession in 2010. Global exports grew less than global GDP. We call this relative deglobalization. And you see that in this graphic, a very sharp increase of global exports in percent of global GDP until 2009, 2010. And then it's stagnating. So exports play a smaller role today than they did 15, 20 years ago. This is not true for service exports. When we talk of exports, we usually mean goods exports without saying it explicitly. In service exports, the growth is still stronger than the growth of the global GDP. So service exports gain an increasing role in the global export picture. President Donald Trump never mentions that because in service exports, we have a very different pattern. There, as you see here, the US is the clear number one. The United Kingdom is number two, and Germany, as in goods exports, is number three. And the other countries, European countries, also Japan, are closer to the top performers than in goods exports. In Germany, in Spain, of course, tourism plays a very important role. Now, what does this new situation in globalization mean, including the Trump tariffs, the conflicts between China and the United States? We have a new game. Relative deglobalization is likely to continue. It means global exports will grow less rapidly as the global GDP. Goods exports are partially substituted by foreign direct investments. So instead of manufacturing something in Germany, shipping it to China, or in China, shipping it to Spain, companies invest in the target market. Service exports continue to grow over proportionally. And in this new game, the big challenge is to find the best location for each activity. That can be China, that can be the Silicon Valley, that can be Europe. Just to give you a few examples, two German hidden champions, which are in the mining technology sector, they relocated their whole value chain to China. Why? We have no longer mining in Germany, and in China it still plays a very important role. So you have customers there, you can only do it there, including research and development. On the other hand, Chinese car manufacturers all have a design and development center in Germany. And the cars I see in China are very similar to German cars because they are all designed in Germany. So this new situation requires global balancing of production, selling, and pricing. Kannst du mir mal gerade ein Glas Wasser holen? Just to give you an example, two examples here. You all know Nespresso's capsules for the coffee. They are only made in Switzerland. Now imagine Trump imposing a tariff of 39%. Now it's reduced to 15% on these Swiss exports. It's a disaster. So what was the strategic mistake here? Nespresso should have established a production in the United States already 10 years ago. It's their biggest market. And the second case, also from a Swiss hidden champion, a maker of professional coffee machines, only manufacturing in Switzerland. Their two biggest customers are Starbucks and McDonald's, both in the United States. And now they have to fight with the very high tariffs. So you have to reconsider where you do what, in where is the best location for each activity. And the hidden champions are adhering to this principle. Thank you. Now, that's my lesson one. Globalization will continue. However, goods exports will be increasingly substituted by foreign direct investments. Finding the best location for each activity is the new challenge, and these new conditions require a global rebalancing. Now let's come to the business level of the hidden champions. I will look at 7 success factors. The core is the ambition to be the best. How do you become the best? Through focus. Only focus leads to world class. But focus makes a market small. How do you make it large? By globalization. And of course, to become a global market leader, to remain in this position, you have to innovate continuously. And then we have 3 new driving forces: digitalization, ecosystems, and sustainability. And I will show you cases from each of these factors, how they fare, how they practice these strategic aspects. Let's start with the ambition to be the best. Here, a couple of cases. Ego's company from Cologne, global market leader in so-called motion plastics, they say, we do only one thing where we are the best in the world. Or Stihl, global leader in chainsaws, says either we are the best or we don't do it. And that has very concrete implications. For instance, Stihl makes their own batteries. Why don't they buy the batteries from BYD or CATL? Because they say the requirements for our batteries, for chainsaws, for foresting, for gardening products, are very different from the batteries for cars or for smartphones. That's why we make our own batteries who are tuned to our requirements. We want to be the best for this application. Or Chemetall, global leader in metallic surface treatment. Our goal is the worldwide technology and marketing leadership. Worldwide technology and marketing leadership. How do you achieve becoming the best? Only through focus. I said that already. And here again, 2 cases. Flexi, world market leader in retractable dog leashes. These flexible leashes for your dog. We only focus on one thing, but we do it better than anyone else. They make only retractable dog leashes in different variants. They have a global market share of 70%. Or Ullmann, world market leader in pharmaceutical packaging. We always had one customer and will only have one customer in the future, the pharmaceutical industry. We only do one thing, but we do it right. Ullmann could also package food or electronic gadgets, but they say we only focus on the pharmaceutical industry. But this makes the market, of course, smaller. If you sell flexi dog leashes only in Germany or in Spain, that would be a very small market. How do you make it large? By globalizing. And here I show you the globalization history of Kärcher, the global market leader in high-pressure water cleaners. They started with their internationalization in the 70s, and ever since they added 1 or 2 new subsidiaries to their global network. They have today 170 subsidiaries. And this is another principle of the hidden champions. They go into the international market through their own subsidiaries. They do not delegate that to importers, agents, distributors. They do it on their own to remain close to their customers. That's lesson 2. Success always begins with highly ambitious goals. They must come from the entrepreneur. There is no substitute for entrepreneurial ambition. Only focus leads to world class, but it makes a market small. Globalization makes all markets large enough for SMEs. Innovation. Innovation starts with investments into research and development, and the hidden champions spend double the industry average on R&D. What is more important, the output. The hidden champions have 5 times more than the average company in terms of patents relative to the number of employees. And how do they control, steer their innovation? The challenge in innovation is to integrate technology and customer needs. And 65% of the hidden champions say that they manage this integration well. Only 19% of the average companies said that. Most companies are either technology driven or customer driven, so too much marketing, not a deep technology, or they are engineers, as quite a few of the German companies are, and are not truly customer oriented. Integrating value to a customer and technology is the challenge. And value to customer is one of the biggest strengths of the hidden champions. Here again, 2 cases. Rosengroup, global market leader in pipeline inspection systems, actually from Switzerland. We create ultimate value for our customers as the world's undisputed leading supplier. We go far beyond market requirements. We envision the market's future needs. Highest ultimate value. Or Beer, global market leader in ceramic ball bearings. We exceed our customers' expectations and deliver top value in every respect. That is what counts for the customer, the value he or she really gets. Lesson 3, the hidden champions are massive innovators. The effectiveness of their R&D activities beats that of the average company by a factor of 5. In their innovations, they integrate customer needs and technology much better than the average company. Their strategies are value-oriented, not price-oriented. Usually their prices are about 10 to 15% above the market average, and still they are market leaders. Now we come to the new driving forces: digitalization, business ecosystems, and sustainability. In digitalization, I distinguish between consumer mass markets and industrial markets, and the hidden champions are mostly engaged in industrial markets. And I would extend that no European company will have a leading position in the mass consumer markets. There are exceptions like Spotify, but usually these markets are dominated by Americans and in China by the Chinese. So focus on business to business. Here a couple of cases. TeamViewer, remote screen control. This software is installed on more than 2.5 billion devices, or LSTM, long short-term memory, are installed on more than 3 billion smartphones. Or hidden champion Rheinhausen, which even nobody knows in Germany, their systems control 50% of the global electricity flow. 50% of the electric power consumed in the world runs through their controllers. DeBell is considered the best translation system. Celonis from Munich is a global leader in process mining, now evaluated at $15 billion, milliards in European currency. And Apple has 767 suppliers in Germany, all hidden. You don't know what's going on in these complex value chains in the electronic industry. And here we have a very small, now this is first the big one and then I come to the small one. business ecosystem in extreme ultraviolet lithography. That's actually a quite big system. The customers here are foundries, integrated device manufacturers like Intel or Taiwan Semiconductor, Nvidia, etc. And ASML from the Netherlands makes these complex systems, and in their ecosystem, they have two key partners, Trumpf with the laser and Zeiss with the optics. And just to show you a few technical features here of the laser, this laser from Trumpf creates a temperature of 220,000 degrees. That's 40 times the temperature on the surface of the sun on the ship only for a fraction of a millionth of a second. And this laser shoots 50,000 tint drops per second on the ship. The machine consists of 457,000 components, so extremely complex. And the Zeiss optical system is even more complex. It reduces the distance on the ship by 98%. And on the surface of a thumbnail, it positions 56 billion transistors. Billion, American billions here, so Milliarden, milliards. Development time was 22 years. So this ecosystem, a long-term oriented cooperation of independent companies, is able to manage this extreme technical complexity, and they have practically a global monopoly. Here I have now the small ecosystems. That's a company called MK Technologies. It has 30 employees. And customers are companies like SpaceX, other manufacturers of um, jet engines. And MK supplies the systems on which the combustion chambers of SpaceX are made. They have 6 systems in the Los Angeles and 6 systems in the Texas factory of SpaceX. And in order to do the same job with 3D printers, Musk would need 1,000 large 3D printers. How can a small company of 30 people achieve that? Only through a complex ecosystem. They have 2 partners from China, one for rapid prototyping, one for fast casting, one partner from Germany, one from Israel, one from France. And by combining the competencies of these altogether 6 companies, they are able to deliver these extremely demanding problem solutions. And I think that is one of the most important developments in the future, that we can combine competencies from lasers, from sensors, from biotech, from whatever it is, even from different countries, to develop highly complex solutions. The third driving force, sustainability. Some people say sustainability is the new digital. They may be right. And hidden champions are often leading in sustainable technologies because these are in the beginning small markets. Here, one example that's actually from Austria, Austrian hidden champion. That's a shirt made from fibers derived from wood called Lyocell. And I compare this with a cotton shirt here. A cotton shirt needs 2,700 liters of water, a Lyocell shirt 180 liters. Land, cotton, 6 square meters, Lyocell, 0.6 square meters. Cotton plantations consume 25 of the global consumption of pesticides, 0 for Lyocell, and the price range is the same. And our sustainability problems will only be solved through technology, where we develop new innovations. So lesson 4, I have altogether 5 lessons, so we are almost through. Digitalization, business ecosystems, and sustainability are the new driving forces. The hidden champions are strong in digitizing industrial processes. They employ business ecosystems to integrate new knowledge, and sustainability offers huge opportunities in new, initially small markets. The hidden champions are in a good starting position. Now we come to the question, where does this excellent performance come from? What are the roots? And the roots are, of course, the employees and the leaders. What did I observe with the employees? These companies have more work than heads, so a little too few people. That's a performance driver. High performance cultures, high qualification, very low turnover. Just to illustrate that through a few numbers, percentage of apprentices in hidden champions 9%, in German industry 6%, so they spend 50% more on educating their workers. They have upgraded their workforce. The share of university and college graduates has doubled in the last 10 years from 9 to 19%, and global competition is more and more about qualification, less about low costs alone. And then very important, the turnover rates, Fluktuationsrates, 2.7%. And you see the global average is 11%, even in Germany, 9.9%. This is a very important that you retain qualified employees. If you lose them, all the know-how is gone, the customer relations are gone. So having a very low fluctuation rate is very important. The leaders are characterized by a unity of person and purpose, and the leadership is ambivalent, namely authoritarian in the principles, but participative and flexible in the details. The leaders come young into power, and we have a very high continuity. The average tenure of hidden champions leaders is 21 years. In large corporations, it's only 6 years. That says everything about continuity and long-term orientation. Lesson 5, my last one. The hidden champions have more work than heads and high performance culture. Employee loyalty is high, staff turnover accordingly low. The leaders of the hidden champions form a unity with their company's purpose, and their leadership is authoritarian in the principles but flexible in the details. Continuity is very high. And if you give me 2 more minutes, I would like to share with you my own hidden champion story with Simon Kutscher. That's our my consulting company. Dr. Kutscher was my first doctoral student, and we founded that together. We applied the hidden champion strategy one-to-one. We had the ambition to be the best in our market. We focus on pricing, growth, commercial excellence, not on the cost side or restructuring, only on the market side. And we strive for a global presence. What is the result? We are recognized in several countries, United States, Financial Times, France, Germany, as the best or one of the best in our field. So ambition to the best. We are not yet there in China and other markets, but we are on our way. This is our development. Last year we had a revenue of 606 million and we have 2,250 employees. That's a growth curve in terms of employees. And this is our global map, 47 offices in 30 countries. We have 2 offices in Spain, 1 in Madrid, 1 in Barcelona, not yet in Bilbao, but we will be there someday. So let me summarize. Globalization is changing. Rebalancing is the new game. Ambition to be the best is the founding stone for hidden champions. Be focused. Only focus leads to world class. Globalize to make your market large. Innovate, make sure to integrate technology and customer needs, and actively employ the new driving forces. Digitalization, business ecosystem, sustainability. Qualify, motivate, and retain. Emphasis on retain your employees and be a strong leader while in the same time empowering your team. And here I have some lessons for the Basque country and Basque companies. Be ambitious, very ambitious. Focus on highly specialized industrial capabilities and strive for market leadership in selected niches. I think you have a good focus, you have an industrial orientation, so this could be your way. Combine Basque industrial excellence with direct customer access. Innovate around customer value and do it fast. The strength of the hidden champions in China is that they do it very fast. They are extremely quick in what they do. Strengthen industrial ecosystems in the Basque country. Deepen collaboration among companies, technology centers, universities, and suppliers, but also go beyond your region and beyond Spain, even beyond Europe in finding cooperation partners. Develop talent and long-term leadership. Invest in vocational training. Vocational training is one of the strengths of Germany. You need engineering talent and then leadership continuity, long-term orientation. So these are my recommendations for Basque hidden champions. And I have summarized my findings and observation. My recent book in English is Hidden Champions in the Chinese Century, and we have an older editions, Campeones Ocultos del Siglo XXI. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm happy to take your questions. Gracias. And let's go on this discussion. Können wir jetzt auf Bild umschalten, wenn das geht?
Herzlichen Dank. Many thanks, Professor Simon, for this very eloquent and very energetic talk. Apologies from our side.
Do you see me now?
Yes.
Well, we switch now to the picture. Do you see me now?
We can see you. We can see you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, just to follow up a little bit on all the content that you shared with us, and apologies for the technical hiccups. It's another motivation to get you one day here alive and kicking with us. Well, you touched upon a number of subjects. Let me at least follow up on two topics. You have put very much attention on the importance of employees. That is obviously also a very important topic for the hidden champions in the Basque country. And you also indicated, well, not all hidden champions are large. You referred to this case of MK Technology, for example. And what we are seeing here among Basque companies, hidden champions included, is brain drain, talent war. And companies in the Basque country, particularly in the hinterland, in the inside, we are facing a brain drain of talent towards Madrid or cities like London or Berlin. And it's not always easy to compete for talented engineers and other kind of skilled workers. And that is, I assume, also an issue for hidden champions that are not located in München or in Stuttgart, but in Passau or in Oberderdingen or the Gronau. This challenge for hidden champions, let's say in the German context or in the Basque country, what do you observe and what kind of lessons could you perhaps share with us on that, in that regard?
Yeah, we have actually a very similar situation in Germany because most of the hidden champions are located in small towns or even villages and not in the big cities. 70% are in rural areas in Germany. And of course, there's a pull of the big cities, and I have a very clear recommendation. I suggest that they do not try to enter into competition with Siemens or BMW. If you are in a remote area in northern or East Germany, your chance to attract somebody who has graduated in Munich is very small. But in the same time, we have talents in each region. And you should establish very early contacts to schools, to vocational training schools, to high schools, even to Fachhochschulen, so University of Applied Sciences in your region offer projects, offer internships to build a relation to the talents from this region. They may then study outside the region, but many are willing to come back, sometimes have their girlfriends there. And these become very loyal employees. So focus in the recruiting, in making you an attractive employer on the region. That is my clear recommendation. I don't think that you will attract many people from Barcelona or Madrid to the Basque country. The same is true. I am from the Eifel, a rural region. Nobody from Munich or from Hamburg or Berlin comes there to work there.
Okay.
So a very clear recommendation. Focus on the region. There is talent, develop it early, establish contacts, and then try to get the people back when they study outside the region.
Great. Point taken. Well noted.
And it works. I can only say it works. I've seen many who say we have very good qualified employees and they are highly loyal. We have seen that in the turnover rates.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let's move on to China. Of course, you mentioned already the rise of China, the importance of China. Hidden champions are also emerging there. Until fairly recently, China was particularly active, stimulating companies in, well, larger markets where more money goes around, where there are higher volumes, but they have recently also launched programs like Little Giants, Single Champions, and that means that China is also unleashing competition towards niches where hidden champions from Germany or the Basque country might be active. Is this something that you are perceiving that is worrying, perhaps, hidden champions that you are advising, working with? Can you tell us a bit about experiences that you have observed and whether you have some kind of recommendation on how to deal with this?
What you described is absolutely true, and I consider the Chinese hidden champions today as the most serious, I could say by far the most serious competitor of the German hidden champions. And these initiatives, you mentioned Little Giants, etc., started about 10 years ago and have been intensified in the last 5 years. And again, you see there the speed of the Chinese. A couple of years ago, a contact of mine in Beijing said they developed a new program to create 1,000 hidden champions, and they will invest $1.3 billion into this initiative. So that was the decision in Beijing. 3 weeks later, I visited China and was somewhere in a province in a city, and the party secretary told me, this program has arrived. So within 3 weeks, it came from Beijing to the level of the province where it's being implemented. And we see in practically all these fields emerging Chinese hidden champions, and they are no longer competing on low quality or low price. Mm-hmm. But they are really technically very, very sophisticated. Hmm. And then I mentioned that in my talk. During my last trip a few months ago, I also listened to the presentation of the Chinese speakers. The only topic of all the Chinese speakers was innovation, with emphasis on the speed of translating research results into marketable products. So they are much faster there. Just to give you an example from the automotive industry, it said that Chinese need 14 months to develop a new car model. In Europe, that's right now maybe 4 years. And with the hope of artificial intelligence, the goal is to bring it down to 18 months or 2 years. But the Chinese are extremely fast. So they are technically competent, increasingly technically competent. What is the consequence? I said that already. For certain activities, we should do them in China. For instance, one hidden champion in the high-tech pump sector They opened their competence center for artificial intelligence in China. They say we have better conditions to develop artificial intelligence products and processes in China due to more data availability, data less protections than in Germany. So we do that there. So we don't have, we cannot confine ourselves to see China as a market where we can export. We must also see it as a market where we can source know-how and innovation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that's a very important lesson that we take from your talk. China is not just a place to produce, but it's also becoming...
Yeah, we saw this case from MK Technologies. Mm-hmm. They have these two partners from China in their system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for high-tech inputs. Let me take one step back. We are here in Spain, Basque Country, in Europe. European agenda is very much about industrial autonomy. I can agree that indeed it might be more important to put parts of your value chain in China, because that is where you can source more knowledge, more technology. But let's say from a European perspective, if Europe aspires to increase its industrial autonomy, what role do you see for hidden champions in that agenda?
I don't think much of these initiatives on industrial autonomy or sovereignty, certainly not in the mass markets, but also in other markets. And what I am rather advocating for is to intensify transatlantic partnerships. We see that the Americans are leading in artificial technology. We cannot cope with them on the practical, on the capital side, and all attempts of Europeans or Germans to raise enough capital to compete against the Americans doesn't work. And we also see increasingly this kind of international cooperation. For instance, Porsche is cooperating with Google. I don't think that it makes sense to develop their own navigation systems for car manufacturers. They cannot cope with Google Maps, for instance. We see many of these corporations where you have special knowledge on the other side of the Atlantic, or it could be in China, or it could be in France, because many of the modern solutions consist of new knowledge, sensors, lasers, in the future, quantum computers, artificial intelligence plays an extreme role, and striving for sovereignty, I'm not very optimistic. And in industrial processes, that's even different from consumer markets, because industrial processes are very similar across the world. All the factories are very similar. When I go to a factory in China, it's more or less the same as a factory in the United States or in Germany. And there is less bureaucratic barriers in industrial processes than in consumer markets, where you have consumer protection and data protection and everything. So I think we should really widen our perspective and integrate the best knowledge from wherever we can find it.
Yeah. I'm going to finish with one question. I think the example that you shared with us about MK Technology, who is an input provider for combustion chambers of SpaceX and others, was very insightful. Small company becoming a global niche market leader with very few employees, but relying on a network of partners. Your presentation also talked about cases like Kerge, which had rolled out its internationalization strategy on the back of subsidiaries. If we take the two as two extremes, own subsidiaries in different places, or doing internationalization on the back of networking. Do you see a certain trend evolving in one or another direction, or would you say from a certain scale, from a certain size minimum, that's when hidden champions or niche players should go for internal solutions, subsidiaries, wholly owned subsidiaries, and under a certain level of size, they better go for networking solutions?
I would not give a general recommendation on this issue. It depends all. When I take my own example, we started in 1985 with 3 people. Today we have 2,200. And and this can be the history of each company who has ambition and the competencies. We never acquired anybody. We never cooperated with anybody. So we run an extreme hidden champions, go on our own, say eagles don't flock, eagles fly alone. But if you are in a very complex technology system like MK, where you need very, very different competencies, it would take long, it would not be financeable for a small company. And it's better than to cooperate with people who have that knowledge than instead of trying to develop it yourself. So if the market is moving very fast, if very specialized know-how components are needed, you see even at Apple. Apple has 767 suppliers in Germany, so they don't make everything themselves. The only recommendation I can give is be open to these issues. The traditional attitude of hidden champions is rather to be close, to make everything themselves. Some had a depth of value add of manufacturing of 80% or so. That could be dangerous in the modern world. So you have to open up and be more open to cooperations with people from other countries, with experts who have different knowledge. Being open would my recommendation be.
Okay, thank you very much. Very clear. You've given us a lot of food for thought, food for experimentation, and maybe also for implementation. Has been a great honor to have you with us, even if it has been virtually. Hopefully we can stay in touch, and well, wouldn't be surprised if some of the companies here present today might reach out to you or to your company in the near future. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank.
Thank you very much, Bart.